this is Jen from Winrose Fiber Studio. Today let's crochet a triangle scarf with a built-in fringe. For this project, I am using a medium weight yarn. This is Red Heart's Roll With It in the color Theater. And I have a 5mm crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, 1 stitch marker, and a ruler on hand. I'll have links for specific products in the description below. Right out of the gate, we need to make a decision about our pattern, and that is how long would you like your fringe to be? I've chosen a 4-inch fringe, which means I'm measuring off 8 inches because I need double, and also a little bit of extra length for weaving in this beginning tail. My beginning tail is a little over 12 inches long. Now we'll begin the first half of our scarf, which starts with one end and will go as far as the middle of the scarf. Begin row 1 by chaining 3 and then work a half double crochet in the 3rd chain from your hook. Mark this half double crochet. With the world's shortest first row complete, we're now moving on to row 2. For row 2, you'll chain 2, and then you're going to measure off and twist your fringe yarn. Because I'm making a 4-inch fringe, I'm measuring off 8 inches, and then you can see that I am twisting the yarn away from me about 6 times. I'm twisting in the direction of the ply, and when you release the tension, the yarn should backspin on itself. Now you can see I'm wrapping it around the hook from back to front and holding on to that twist as I turn my work, and I'm going to be working into that marked half double crochet. Into this stitch, we're working a half double crochet increase, which simply means to place 2 half double crochets in this marked stitch. Don't worry about the squiggly fringe yarn at this point. We're going to take care of that in the next row. I'm just going to finish off my half double crochet increase with one more half double crochet into the marked stitch. Once you're done, you can remove that stitch marker, and because there was only 1 stitch in that row is also now complete. For row 3, you'll chain 2 and turn, and then you're going to work half double crochets across. Remember, there's only 2 stitches, so after 1 half double crochet, you're going to be working into this squiggly fringe yarn. You'll notice that there's a piece that kind of stands out in front, and one that's right behind it. The thread that's behind is kind of held down by a little loop. You're going to work this half double crochet by going underneath that front thread and the thread just behind it. Go ahead and mark this stitch. Now you can see I'm inserting my finger in our little squiggly fringe and pulling it tight and then twisting it back in the other direction 6 or 7 times, which will create a sweet little plied fringe. Let's look at this process one more time, beginning with row 4. You will always chain 2 and then measure out your yarn. After this, you twist the yarn. Most yarn is plied in the same direction, so twisting away from you should work. If you find that your plies are coming apart, then twist it in the opposite direction. Then you'll yarn over from back to front. Hold that twist in place as you turn your work. And then for the first half of the scarf, you're always going to be working a half double crochet increase into your marked stitch. So you'll be working 2 half double crochets into this stitch, and then you'll work half double crochets across. Your work will always gain 1 stitch on the even rows because of this half double crochet increase. Let's look at an odd row again. Beginning row 5, you'll chain 2 and turn. Then you'll work your half double crochets across. The last stitch will always be worked under the front thread and the one just behind it of your fringe yarn. Complete the fringe by twisting that loopy yarn back in the opposite direction until it forms a nice ply. To begin the even row, you'll chain 2, and then I realize I forgot to mark that last half double crochet, so I'm going ahead and doing that now. And now I can measure off my yarn and create the twist for my next fringe. Just so you can see what it would look like if I was twisting in the opposite direction of the yarn's natural ply, the plies would come apart. This is a singles yarn, so actually if I twist it in the other direction, I'm ending up with a little sliver of roving. Okay, let me go back and twist this the right way. Remember, after 5 or 6 twists, the yarn should have a really nice backspin on it, and then you can yarn over, hold the twist in place, and turn your work. Now we work our half double crochet increase. There may come a time when you just don't feel like you need a stitch marker in this stitch anymore, and that is perfectly fine. It actually can be a little bit of a nuisance, and if you're someone who's super comfortable with identifying your stitches, then you can just carry on without the stitch marker. Now work a half double crochet in each stitch across to complete the row. Here we are at row 7. This is actually the last row on the first half that I'm going to work in its completion before I set you free to carry on your own. Okay, we're finishing up row 7. To continue on with the first half of the scarf, repeat rows 6 and 7 respectively until your scarf is at your desired halfway length. A nice length for a triangle scarf that's wrapped around your neck in this way is about 6 feet or about 1.8 meters. You can try it on by holding the middle up to the center of your neck and wrapping it around. You can see I've done that here on a mannequin. And actually, after I finished this, I decided I might want a couple more rows, and then later I come to regret it because I would have had enough yarn on my skein if I hadn't added those rows. This particular yarn comes in a 450 yard cake, and I would have had enough if I hadn't added 4 rows to the middle. I decided my halfway point was at the end of row 91. This might be very different for you depending on the yarn you're working with, your personal gauge, and how you like to wear your scarves. Whatever you decide is right for you, please end on an odd numbered row before we start the second half. I'm going to start referring to our rows as either even rows or odd rows. So on the even row, you chain 2, you measure and twist your fringe yarn. Just like we've been doing, you yarn over, you hold that twist in place, and you turn, and here's the big difference. You're going to work a half double crochet decrease over the first 2 stitches, your mark stitch and then the next stitch in that row. To work a half double crochet decrease, you yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, and then you yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, then yarn over and pull through all 5 loops on your hook. After you've worked your half double crochet decrease, you can remove your stitch marker, and then you're simply going to half double crochet in each stitch across. The odd numbered rows in the second half of the scarf are worked in the exact same manner as the odd numbered rows in the first half. You'll chain 2 and turn, half double crochet across. The last stitch will be worked into your twisted fringe yarn in the same way we've been doing it. You'll finish off that fringe and you'll be ready to move on. You'll complete the second half of your scarf carrying on, working your even and odd rows as I've shown you here. Each even row, your stitch count will become one less until you're down to the very end, and I'll see you there. In the meantime, I'm going to show you the half double crochet decrease one more time. Hello again from the second to last row, where you see me twisting my fringe, yarn over. This is my last even row, so I'll be working a half double crochet decrease. There are just 2 stitches in this row, so one half double crochet decrease later, and I have completed the second to last row. I'll chain 2 and turn, and now there's just 1 stitch. It's worked into that fringe yarn. After I work this half double crochet, I can complete this fringe. Now you can cut and pull your working yarn through. Remember, you need this final length to be at least double the length of your fringe, with a little extra for weaving. To finish off your beginning and ending tails, I think it's helpful to go ahead and thread your yarn needle onto the tail end, and then measure off your fringe yarn. Twist that, and then you'll hold your twisted yarn in place on the end of the scarf and weave in this tail end. After you've worked your yarn through a couple of times, you can go ahead and ply this twist, and then you can finish off weaving in your yarn and cutting off any excess. Here we have a look at the center of our scarf. It's a nice gentle point. I don't typically block this project, but if you'd like to straighten out your fringe, or if your fabric needs it, you could certainly block your scarf. I do like this scarf worked up in a variegated fiber. This is one that I had on hand, but after working this project, I happened to be doing a little yarn shopping, as one does, and came across Karen's macchiato cakes. That has me itching to make another scarf like this one. And I actually have another very similar project, only this one not only has a built-in fringe, but also built-in ruffles. So maybe I'll work this one up next and take advantage of some of these pretty yarns that I just encountered. I hope you enjoyed this project. I hope you enjoyed making your fringe as you crochet. Please hit like and subscribe. I post new patterns every Tuesday, and I'm really looking forward to sharing more patterns with you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.